Hello and welcome to episode 130 of Masters of the Forge. My name is Adam and I'm here with Jason.
Hey Adam. Hello everyone.
It's good to hear your voice.
Yeah, good to hear yours.
Oh man. So, long time no see, and actually switch that, reverse it. You were here recently, along with Mike.
Yeah.
But we still haven't recorded an episode for over a month, so long time no see to the listeners.
Yeah, to the listeners. Even though
we've
released what?
Yeah, we have had
How many episodes have we released since we've recorded, though?
Well, we released 2 episodes of Altar of War, and we had one of Prototypes, which that really doesn't count. That's 15 minutes of us going, wow, this book is cool. So, anyways, today... it's been, we didn't have a actual release in August, and I apologize for that. It's just, mea culpa. It's what the way it is, at least for the time being. We'll try to do better to get at least one a month in here. So we'll try to get another one in for September. Anyways, why don't we slide right in and start talking about our hobby progress? I had a lot of hobby stuff going on this week, or this month. Let's see. I was starting on the Knights the last time we chatted, on the podcast, but Brian's hobby squirrel on fire dashed past my vision, and like I was saying before, they were doing over at the Splittermine podcast at their Patreon page. They have a hobby progress challenge going, like a monthly one, and I hadn't done any of it. I was just hanging out, and I decided, I'll just do the first 8 challenges right now, and I managed to paint all of the models that my buddy Jay gave me. So it's 2 raiders, a squad of witches, a squad of warriors, an archon, a squad of bikes, and a jet plane, and a squad of the dudes with the claves. What are they?
I don't know.
Anyways, they're rad. They're kind of like the Dark Eldar Aspect Warriors. They're really cool. Anyways, they have claves and they're awesome. They're metal. Anyways, I painted 8 units. But Brian seems to think that doesn't count. So that's fine. Whatever. It's fine. I guess you have to make a challenge and meet it every month instead of just blissing it all in one month. Whatever.
Well, this does seem to be how can we put this charitably? This isn't just an issue with you. This seems to be a Masters of the Forge issue, which we'll talk about in my hobby progress, because you and I seem to do these sorts of things just because we can. Go ahead, keep going, man.
Because we have fulfilling and busy lives. So I painted those. I did a black and red quartered scheme. The black is actually like a very dark gray, actually. Okay. I used the Skaven Blight Dinge, which is a lot lighter than I was expecting it to be, but to be honest, I like the way it looks anyways. I did a lot of wet blending on those models. I didn't use an airbrush. I need to take a class.
Yeah.
Anyways, I did wet blending with those, and it looks good. Someone commented that they really like my black lining, and I said my secret to my black lining is to spray paint it black and then paint everything except for the black lines. So.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, that's legitimate. Yeah, I can go with that. Yeah.
Anyways, that's really cool. I love the way they look, and they have bone color for the spot color.
Oh, yeah,
so their helmets are the bone color. I really think that the vehicles could use a little bit more, so I think I might do some symbols on them, and maybe even symbols on the shoulder pads of some of these models. But I'm not sure yet. I might have to do decals on there and then paint over it with the bone color, just to stay consistent. I do have a bunch of decals still.
Quick question.
So
the color scheme is black and red with bone highlights.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're basically painting Bloodraven Drukhari. Okay.
Yeah, kind of. I'm painting. That's the color scheme of the Yanari usually, but I don't. I mean, I was gonna do a Yanari force, but I'm really liking these Drukhari.
Right.
So I might just do Drukhari. Jeff, my buddy Jeff, is gonna be trading me some more unpainted Drukhari for. I'm gonna be building him some terrain for his his historical wargaming.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna build him some hills and some fences and trees and stuff, so you can have he already has one of those sweet grass boards or grass mats, and not like a table, not a neoprene mat, but like grass.
Oh.
It's what all the cool historical wargamers are using these days, I guess.
Wow.
So I'm thinking what I can do is I can build bases for these woods, but only kind of not. So I would build the bases and I would put magnets, like heavy magnets on them, and then he can slide the base under his mat, and then the trees would just be sticking out of the grass.
Yeah. Okay.
How cool would that be, right? Yeah. I have some kind of like that, but there are some mistakes I made with the magnets that I wouldn't make with these.
Yeah.
But I think he'd like that. I think those guys are all about the immersion, because that's why they have the grass in the first place, so that you kind of can't see the bases. So if I can get those bases for those trees under the mat, I think he'd like that a lot. Yeah, that's cool, man. That's a really. Or I could just use metal. No, because then I'd want him to be able to use the woods for other games as well. Yeah. So I would still want to put bases on there, but they would be magnetized, so he can have them just sticking out of the mat.
Yeah, cool idea.
So I'm going to do that, and I think that almost has to be my next project after the one I'm working on right now. That way I can just get it done and get them sent over. I hate telling people, "Oh, I'm going to make a thing for you," and then take forever.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to get that done. I have plenty of foam to cut the hills out of. I have plenty of fiberboard to cut the bases out of. I just have to go to the train store and pick up the trees.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
But I think he plays 28 millimeters, so the big trees will be fine, and those are the trees you want to use for the for magnetizing anyways.
Yeah.
So the project I'm working on right now are my puppy dogs.
Those
canine adventurers, it was a Kickstarter, and it hadn't arrived. I saw people get theirs. I'm like, what's going on? Why am I not getting my models? Apparently, you were supposed to take it upon yourself to go onto the Kickstarter site, or go onto their site and say, I have to pay shipping now.
Oh.
They didn't include the shipping in the price of the Kickstarter. Yeah, it was annoying. So I paid the shipping and they came, and I just started painting them. So each one is different. Each one is a different character class, and each one is a different dog. So it's basically like painting 8, 12, 13 individual unique models all at once. So the batch painting isn't exactly the best. The last time I did all the leathers and stuff, and my wet palette is just a cornucopia of browns. Every Games Workshop brown that there is represented on my wet palette, and it looks like somebody has been painting an actual portrait of someone, because it's all mixed and smeared. I could not replicate these colors to save my life. It just isn't gonna happen. But they are so cool and so awesome, so I can't wait to do those. I don't think I'm gonna put basing on them, because they're really I really don't know. I think I'm just gonna give them gray bases.
Because where are they gonna go?
I'll shade around the feet. I'll do shade around the feet, and then I'll black rim him.
Yeah,
and that should be good enough. It's not like GW bases where it has that little divot in the middle.
Right.
They're actually just smooth bases, so I'll just do that. Those guys are awesome, but I was every dog. I looked up the Wikipedia entry for that dog, and so I could paint the fur patterns just right. And some folks actually mentioned how they looked pretty good in that regard. So I was pretty pleased about that.
Oh, this is great, man.
Poppers. I love those things.
Yeah.
I think I'll use them for Frostgrave, because why not?
Hey, that's a good idea. Because you can take dogs and Frostgrave and Rangers of Shadowdeep. Yeah.
Well, no. I would use these as the adventurers, and maybe I would have a human like I have a Nodwick miniature where Nodwick is carrying it's just him carrying a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Nodwick, the old cartoon or comic from Dragon Magazine.
Yeah.
So I might add him as the dog, and all the dogs would be the characters.
Go for it. Do it.
It's great because the Golden Retriever is the wizard.
Yeah.
And he looks great. He's got his big tongue hanging out. Like, there's no way this jerk's cast spells. He doesn't know what's going on.
That's pretty funny.
Anyways.
That sounds good. I like that.
I bought the Splintered Fang Warband for Warcry.
Yeah.
I might do that after... I don't know when I'm going to do that. I really should work on the terrain, so I might do that after the terrain. But I'm sure my Sigmar... I'll build them, and they don't really care. Maybe I'll build them and get, dry brush on them.
Yeah.
And that way they won't look so bad for playing for the first couple games of Warcry.
Yeah.
With my Sigmar buddies from up north. I'm looking forward to that. Those look really cool, and you can add them to your Age of Sigmar army, your Chaos army.
Mm-hmm.
You can... these are absolutely perfect for Frostgrave, actually, because there's 10 models in each pack.
That is true.
And they have a variety of miniatures inside those packs. I strongly recommend anybody who's into Frostgrave, check out the Warcry box sets, because it's $50 and you get 10 awesome miniatures. So check that out. I've done a lot of hobby. It's just most of it has been painting 50% of a Drukhari warband.
Oh yeah. So,
it's more like 40%. It's like 700 points. It depends on what your idea of a warband is. Right? I still need to get 3 more. I want to do 2 battalions, so I need 3 more HQs, 4 more troops, way more raiders. I'm doing that one group that flies around. They get bonuses if they're shooting from a flyer.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna do those. They're raider guys. They're super raidery, and I love those models, dude. I love the fact that the warriors have men and women in it, and the witches have men and women in it, and the raiders can be built with more witch-like character or models riding on it, or more warrior-like models. So I can actually differentiate my raiders for, this one's gonna carry witches, and this one's gonna carry warriors. It's really cool. I really am quite taken with that army, actually.
Yeah. Well,
that's me.
It seems like a fun army, and in fact, I think that's probably an army you would like, just because it's fast moving and lots of bodies you can go through and create some really interesting paint schemes. So yeah, it's not like the Imperial Knights or the Space Marines where I'm like, well, I did this project, I'll just go play orcs again now. Yeah,
I feel like the Dark Eldar are going to be a lot more my speed, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. All right, so my hobby progress.
I have to finish up the yearly challenge, but I'll do that in December.
Yeah,
I'll finish the other half in 1 month as well.
Well,
and Brian can yell at me.
Just for giggles, our buddies over to Adeptus Terra are doing a Zone Mortalis challenge. This year, I don't have the exact dates down in my brain, but basically 1,000 points. So chop chop.
You should do it. Have you bought the miniatures yet? Because people are starting to post their pictures.
Well, I've got plenty of. Well, no, hold on. We'll get to what I'm going to do.
Yeah, tap the brakes on the I have plenty of anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I've got lots of stuff that I haven't built or painted yet because someone keeps mailing me, a box of like 30 Mark III Marines just for giggles.
Yeah. I wonder if we're gonna get a box of those Sisters of Battle.
Oh.
Actually, we should probably give that to Alexis.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, anywho.
All right.
One quick thing, Jason.
So what?
Before you get started.
Oh yes, let me go ahead and get
check your waveform.
Oh boy. Oh,
check your waveform.
Let's get on to my hobby progress. So, staying with the vein of we get masters.
So it is going. Your waveform is going.
My waveform is going. Where's it going?
On Audacity.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot. No, I'm not running Audacity today. I'm running Pro Tools today because I trust Pro Tools. Whereas Audacity.
Okay, understood.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Not bitter at all. Nope. So, anyways, like I was saying, to continue our Masters of the Forge, and we don't always do things over the months. We just do it in a short time because we do. I started and finished painting my Zone Mortalis board in about 4 days. By myself.
Airbrush!
Rattle can, airbrush, and I only used a hand brush, for accents, like copper.
Yeah.
And the monitors. Yeah. And that was it. Everything else was airbrush and rattle cans.
Everybody was like, that's a labor of love. That takes so long. I can't believe. Well done.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm pretty sure he finished that in 3 days.
Yeah. I started priming on Thursday, and I was done by Sunday.
That is so awesome.
And
nicely done. That's what it's like being a teacher, everyone. You have time to do whatever you want. You don't have to work ever. It's like you show up and you're just like, you kids just do whatever, and then you go home immediately after the kids leave, and you go home and you don't have anything to do at all. And then in the summer, you literally do nothing. There's no catching up with the topic that you teach or syllabus or whatever. You just do nothing, and that's what you get to do when you're a teacher. That's what I hear.
Oh, okay. Well, this is It's funny because Brian, our buddy over at Splinter Mind, school was out and you didn't see anything from him on Facebook except pictures of things he had painted. It just that's all, and that's how my summer has been. It's just finished up and then all of a sudden just painting. I did the Zone Mortalis board. I fully painted that Blood Raven army I took to New York. And most anything that was Primaris was gray plastic in June, maybe July. And I have 30 more Primaris that are 3-color, but they're not tabletop beyond yet. So yeah, summer is I'm not doing school. This is what I'm focusing on. So yay! And I also didn't teach a class this summer, which was nice, which meant I was driving all over the place. But we already had that discussion. So let's see. Zone Mortalis board, finished. The Blood Raven army for New York, that was finished. So GW released a Funko Pop paint your own Marine. And so I painted mine as a Blood Raven because I did. So I just need to put some decals on it, and then it goes to my office at school because, let's see what happens. Let's see if anybody notices, right?
Yeah, no one will notice.
Nah, no one will notice. Let's see what else. Oh, Gore Halfhorn, the mercenary for Necromunda that's really, really cool that I really like. I painted him. I bought him and painted him. Also that Delaque, I never do know how to pronounce it. Delaque. Okay, whatever. I built and painted. Well, no, I painted that guy finally. Then I picked up some bomb rats. I don't know if you've seen them from Necromunda, but they're little.
Yeah, I've seen those. They're adorable.
Anyways, I picked those up and built those. They're cute. I mean, how do you call something that's a rodent with a bomb strapped onto it? I mean, whatever.
That's all you can describe it as.
Say it again.
That's all you can describe it as. It's super cute.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's nice. So I built that for the Inquisitorial Warband, and then so I picked up that Corvus Warband for Warcry because
so cool.
They are cool. And I thought about using them for Frostgrave, but I decided that no, I want to turn them to Chaos Cultist / Ink 28 guys. So I've gone through and done some weapon swaps. There's not a whole lot of. Now you can do some conversions with them, but they're not easy because the size of the hands doesn't always work with like Necromunda bits. So, but it's fun. It's a labor of love. All right, so let's see. So that's
and they're the right shot. Like those bits will actually fit on those. You don't want to like use Space Marine bits or even Imperial Guard bits because they're way more the heroic 28 scale rather than regular 28 millimeter scale.
Yeah,
you don't want them to have giant man hands, like you know what I'm saying, like monster hands. Look like they have boxing gloves on.
Pretty much. You just have to be real careful with those. I mean, I was digging through. Let me see. I had an Escher sprue left over and a sprue from the other guys that are blue. Orlocks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had the interesting weaponry, so I've been using some of that stuff and getting it in there. But sometimes the hands don't; they're just the shapes are a little weird. Plus, sometimes there's some cool bits you want to keep on, and there's like one guy who has almost double lightning claws, which I thought, hey, this would be a great Chaos Cultist that's following like a fallen Raven Guard librarian or something. I thought that might be cool. Let's see. Oh, and with the new Shrike model coming out, double Raven or double Lightning Claws is a cool thing. So that's what I did for the last, 6 weeks or so. Next up, I'm going to start working on my knights. I managed to pick up a couple for cheap. And so I have like 4 or 5 that aren't built yet. So I just need to, because I've been collecting them for the past year or so, just so I could put together something. So I guess I'm going to start doing that next. So yeah, that's my hobby progress.
Awesome. You did much. Now you'll do nothing.
Pretty much, because the semester began.
Welcome to nothing. Welcome to nothing.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we've had a lot of games. Yeah. I'm gonna kind of like gloss over all the games we played together because we have a Altar of War episode that talks about our awesome game of Kill Team using the rules for the Blackstone Fortress that can be found in the June White Dwarf. Mm-hmm. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I really like that.
I've actually convinced people to play that down here just because of that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I think it was Mike's first time playing Kill Team, and we managed to get him to buy the Blackstone Fortress booster kit with the Chaos Ogren in it.
Yeah, we did.
That was great. Well, he more convinced himself, but he was like surprised to find out that existed. Yeah. And he was like, "Yeah, I guess this is Bruno. This is my Bruno.
Bruno. Yeah.
He cares not for your puny human strength." Then so I had a few games with my Diggas because I finished them and I wanted to play with them. They're a lot. Like there's so many models. Like I'm just getting old. I'm like, where's anyways, and this is not even a lot of models for Imperial Guard either. I mean, it's got the 60, troop guys, but geez, they just stand there. Well, they don't really just stand there, but whatever. It's a lot to take out of the box and put back in the box.
Right.
I've played with John and Alexis and others with them, and I'm starting to get a hang of it. I did make my own like custom reminder cards for the orders and stratagems because I have a feeling we might be getting a new book soon. I don't know. With the Space Marines coming out,
Yeah.
Astra Militarum can't be far behind. I don't know if it's going to be a whole new book or if it's going to be like the Chaos book where they're like Chaos Space Marines 2 instead of just a whole new version. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So I made my own cards. I put up some drawings on them. They're cute. I really like playing them. I like the units I've chosen make it fun. Mm-hmm. So like having the Hellhounds and the infantry who can punch you in the face because they're catechins. That's fun. That's a fun way to play it. And I have sentinels in there that can scout around. So it's not static. It's an army that moves around, and that makes it fun. So that's cool. Mm-hmm. I'll probably keep playing that for a little while until I can get enough Dark Eldar that I can actually play games with it, or if I feel like playing orcs, which I do it from time to time. So then I played a game with my orcs against Pat and his Chaos Knights. Mm-hmm. Pat was in our episode where we previewed. He played with me in the episode that we previewed the 8th edition, right, and also the new Nurgle stuff. He has a big Nurgle army, and he decided he wanted to do Chaos Knights. I gave him the Chaos Knights book that was sent to us.
Oh yeah,
and he'll probably be on the show once or twice coming up just to talk about them as we play. We played a couple games. He's getting used to it. And he loves that kind of stuff. He bought some third-party, like, carapaces and stuff for his Chaos Knights, because it was a while before James Workshop put out... I mean, that new kit is amazing, mm-hmm, but it took him a while to get some straight-up chaosy hulls out there. So Pat has some Nurgle-y resin hulls that he's added to some of his Imperial Knights, or his Chaos Knights. We have a Kill Team tournament coming up at Flipside. If anybody's interested, it's gonna be it's just gonna be a basic matched play style tournament. It's not gonna be like a campaign type thing.
Right.
It's gonna be September 15th. So coming up in a couple weeks now. So if anybody's... It'll be on a Sunday, too. The 15th is a Sunday. So it's the same... It's the kind of thing where you build like a 20... You put 20 models in your kill team.
Oh, yeah.
And you obviously can't use all of them, but you just build your team right before. So you have a roster, and you build your team right before you play.
I've done some of that in our local stuff, which I'll talk about in a minute. And, that actually can work pretty well. That whole,
it seems like fun. Now, speaking of events, like the Golden Spur Cup is usually the weekend of Martin Luther King Day, like the weekend right before. But I guess it turns out the venue that we usually have it at is booked that Saturday.
Ooh.
So I don't know what I'm going to do.
Right.
Doing it the week before puts it only 2 weeks after Christmas. But if I do it the week I usually do it, the 18th and 19th of January, that means I have to have it somewhere else other than the American Legion, which people love the American Legion. Yeah. So I'm not sure. I'm kind of in denial about the whole thing still, so I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Well, there might be another place. We'll talk about it offline. There's another hall that was near where I used to live in West Albany that might work.
Okay.
But
okay,
we'll talk about.
Yeah, we'll have a look because.
Yeah. Okay.
What have you been up to?
So what have I been up to? So I won't go over... Well, I'll say a little bit about the New York trip. I did play in the tournament that Adam has. But as usual, I played Mike in the first round and then dropped out. And how can I put this? Every time I play him and I have my Blood Ravens with me, I always try and rescue something. And I was kind of looking at what he had, and I thought, he's got that old 2nd edition land speeder that he had shipped to me whenever I lived in New York. So my Reavers went in and rescued it, which was funny because we're supposed to be like in a serious tournament, or maybe not serious, but I'm definitely not being serious. So that was fun. I have some pictures of capturing it and then running it off the edge of the table. So
you boosted his ride?
Yeah. And then Mike said if I rescued anything else that weekend, that I was taking it home with me. So I didn't rescue anything else that weekend.
So he didn't slip anything into your bags?
No. I haven't found anything. So if he did, I did not see it. Or I still haven't seen it. I thought I unpacked everything, but I'll go back and double check.
Might want to double check.
Yeah. Then we had the APOC game, which, did we ever talk about the APOC game?
No, I didn't talk about it. You want to talk about it?
Yeah. That was fun. I love the new rule set. Absolutely adore it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Just the whole being able to, take all your firing, do all your movement, firing, and then resolve all of it afterwards, so that you get all your special weapons, your cool models stay on the table that much longer. I really dig that. Although, and I think you and I talked about this, that honestly, it's set up for a 2-people game. That once you start adding other people, it kind of starts to bog down.
Yeah, it really breaks down pretty quickly. Yeah. And I would say it's still better than the old way to do it.
Oh, yeah.
But you still have to carve out a large amount of time if you're going to have 6 or more people playing that game. Right. And you also have to start worrying about tokens.
Yeah.
Like Phil and I were constantly warring with each other over how the tokens would be placed.
Right.
And he's like, I'll place mine, you place yours. You place yours on yours, mine on, and I got confused.
Yeah.
And I'm like, at the end of the day, we're just going to have to count all our tokens anyways. Yeah. He's like, nah, we can keep it straight. We had to count all our tokens.
Yeah. Well, the other thing was that, we'd split it up to where you and Phil were on one side, and I was with Mike on the other. And you'd given me all the fast attack stuff. And so I looked at it and went, you know what? I'm going to run through Phil's line and go, high five Adam on the other side. That was that was my army's idea of a good time. And then we got
the knobs on bike made it pretty far. The knobs on bike made it pretty far.
Oh yeah, and that was what did we get to turn 3? I don't remember. We got pretty far.
I think so, yeah.
But we bogged down just because all of a sudden I started going and messing with Phil's stuff, which then kind of pushed him out of order. And so that's where the breakdown. Yeah, that's where the breakdown happened. So
yeah, the way we were doing it, we were trying to do whoever had priority. Uh-huh. So it was the Imperium in the center.
Yeah.
And then the orcs were on and we were also being guided by the machinations of Zinch.
Yeah.
Of James's I guess it was Ahriman who was orchestrating the entire operation. Yeah. But the orcs were flanking the imperial forces, and the way we were doing it was, whoever has priority, that side can do 2 activations at once instead of just 1, just to make it go faster.
Yeah.
Because it made sense. There were 2 lines of battle, so it only made sense. So if Imperium had priority, we would do 1 Imperium group or 1 Imperium detachment on the left flank and 1 Imperium detachment on the right flank, and they would do all their actions, and then it would be the orcs, and then turn for the same thing. But then once you started, puncturing their lines and getting in the middle, it started to get a little messed up.
Yeah.
But that's what those bikers should do.
Yeah.
Especially in Apocalypse, where the charge distance is always 28 inches for them. So.
I know. I was having a great time with that. I started looking at the ranges like, oh, yeah, I know what I'm going to do. And then James had brought Magnus, because that's what you do.
Yeah.
And so it was a race with Magnus to see who could go farther into the Imperial lines. The orcs won, of course, but the orcs always win because they're orcs.
Yeah. Well, the Imperium decided to deploy defensively and did not advance nearly enough. And I think that was much to Phil's chagrin, because he was playing the Death Court of Krieg, and their whole thing is, oh, let's take these mortars and then charge.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did, man. But those Krieg, man, they messed me up. They wiped out a lot of orcs, and I lost a lot of guys. Like the last time I played against John, I had a bunch of commandos who won me the game, basically. Mm-hmm. And they did a lot in that game. But against Phil, his guardsmen just tore them to pieces, before they could even do anything. Well, I mean, I still got my one turn of fighting, but it didn't do a whole lot, because they're pretty resilient, those Kriegers.
Yeah.
Man. They're pretty good.
Yeah, that's them. All right, so on to the rest of my games played. We're doing a kill team campaign. It's a narrative kill team campaign locally, and I've been playing in it. A lot of gene stealers in there. A lot of gene stealers. Like, I think I've played gene stealers and kill team like 80% of the games I've done.
Gene stealers or gene stealer cult?
Gene stealer cult. Gene stealer cult. Sorry. So I'm fighting against aberrants and that really cool 3-pistoled Kellermorph, I think.
Oh yeah, that thing's gross.
So
is that like a commander?
It's an elite.
Oh, it's an elite.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, because we did our first game of commander yesterday, and it did not go well for me. I didn't take a commander. It was a special narrative mission. Now I can't remember the name of it. One takes a commander, the other doesn't. That was a pretty brutal one. So one of the things I discovered, I really do need to paint up some plasma gun guys. I think they're built. I'm not sure, but because I just don't have the punch. You know, I'm running Reavers because it runs with the narrative that I work with, but you know, I'm not. I can put a lot of bullets into stuff, but I can't take it down. Mm-hmm. And I think that, you know, plasma guns might be what I need to finish that up. So I just gotta dig through my stuff and see what I've got.
Okay.
Then this last couple of weeks, some of the guys have been doing Blackstone Fortress, basically doing the campaign. And I got involved yesterday and played 2 regular missions, and then I was playing the Kroot guy, and so I could take a solo mission when we went back to Precipice to get rid of wounds and whatnot. I love the AI on this game. It's really nice, you know.
It's so smart, right?
Yeah. You were looking at, I mean, it can be super brutal, but it's really smart. You know, it's running off a D20. You know, some of the ideas in there are very situational. You know, you've got 3 things that could happen. You know, are you in range? Blah, blah, blah. Just some great stuff. Really am enjoying it. For the first game yesterday, I had actually played this a couple of times before. The first time versus John Trotman at Court of Gamers when we did the CK Studio 102, and I played someone else, and I don't know who, and I apologize because I can't remember who the second person was that I played against. And then last night, so the first game we played last night was like the final boss mission against the Chaos Lord, and we're all like, "Oh, this is gonna be bad," and We actually did manage to finish and quote unquote win the mission, but barely.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, I love the AI in that game. It's basically you check an enemy unit's like tactical disposition, like within range, within 12 inches of an enemy, or within or visible to an enemy, and then you check, and you're like, okay, if it meets this disposition, then roll a d20,
right,
and they'll perform whatever action it says that they should perform. So sometimes it's charge, fixed bayonets and charge. Yeah. Sometimes it's to hold, and it's really you could probably adapt that for 40K if you wanted to do
easy.
A solo game.
Easy. There was one thing that we did. The second game that we played was supposed to be fairly easy. It looked like it would be like kind of a mop-up operation. But one of the things in the AI is reinforcements show up. And we had Chaos Space Marines. Every time we killed one, it would come back, it'd reinforce immediately. And so it was like 2 units of Trader Guard, a Psyker. We were supposed to have the voltage guys, and those 2 Chaos Space Marines, and we would kill one, and the reinforcement would show up immediately, just because of rolling. And, my recruit tracker got knocked down to 1 wound left. Our Aldari guy actually was knocked out, but we were able to bring him back because of some other card that got drawn. I don't remember how he came back. It was just... Chaos Space Marines in Blackstone are no joke. At all. So
they shoot bullets that explode when they get inside.
Yeah. It's just that's actually a really nicely balanced mechanic. I mean, they're supposed to be murderers that just destroy everything. You shouldn't be able to shoot them off the board without even laughing, or without even thinking about it. But in Blackstone, they can get in there and punch you. So anyway, it's. Had a really good time with it. I think we're going to keep playing. Tomorrow's Labor Day, so I think we're going to go in at some point and play tomorrow afternoon until the evening. So I'm looking forward to that.
Right. Yeah, that's a really great situation you got going on down there, dude.
Yeah. I'm so glad I found. I'm glad I moved again and found the situation in the store opening. Because it's getting interesting. I mean, there's a big narrative group there, and when you have a narrative group of D&D players that play 3 and 4 nights a week, you've got something special and fun. So
that's cool. Yeah. I really want to do Blackstone Fortress with my friends who I'm playing through Hero Quest with right now, but I might have to just conscript them to help me paint the models. That's all there is to it.
We're painting. They're primed and they have a white highlight.
Yeah, I've got something similar going on. Some of them are prime black, some of them are prime brown, and then I've thrown I don't think I do have a dry brush on them yet, but just throw a dry brush on them. I guess it's good to get started with that. But some of those characters are pretty detailed. But I guess I am painting 13 adventuring dogs right now, so I guess I shouldn't complain too much.
That's a good way to put it in perspective. Yeah, I'm painting 13 dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're not just fur. They've got bags and weapons and armor and belts and jewelry, and because they're adventuring dogs.
Oh, that's what they do. They're adventuring. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, so shall we wander to fun. Beyond the Fringe?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm drinking coffee and water, but mainly coffee.
Oh, good.
So I am going to talk about the wonders of the sleep sack. Let me tell you about this sleep sack.
I'm curious. I'd like to know about this.
So when a baby starts out, you swaddle them in a blanket.
Right.
After a while, they start wiggling around. They get too big for the blanket, but they still they're like, man, I'm a baby. I like to make noise and move around a lot. So after a while, they grow out of the swaddle. And that's a very sad moment because they still kind of want to feel comfy, but they don't want... You can't put a blanket on them because they'll kick the blanket off.
Right.
Or they'll like inhale the blanket and die, which is not great. So there's this thing called the sleep sack where you put the baby in a bag, basically, and you snap it closed like little suspenders almost, or they have sleeves. It's almost like what are those blankets people use? They bring to the office and are terrible. And they have like leopard prints.
Oh,
like a Snuggie.
Huggy? No, wait.
Yeah. Snuggie. It's a Snuggie. So it's like a baby Snuggie.
Yeah, there we are. Yeah.
Except it's like a whole. It's like a blanket you wear, and he sleeps so well with the Snuggie, or with the sleep sack. Yeah. It is amazing. Like. It's a game changer. I recommend the sleep sack to anybody out there who might be struggling with sleeping through the night. He slept through the night for a while with that thing.
That's pretty cool.
Past couple days, he woke up at like 3:30 for food.
Yeah.
But they go through these growth spurts where they want food, and then they'll go through a whole They'll like, oh, I need to eat a lot, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll be like, oh, I need to sleep a lot because I'm growing now, blah, blah, blah. So it's really interesting. But he's heavy, and we brought him to the fair yesterday. We're going to bring him to the fair tomorrow.
Cool.
Because tomorrow is the Demolition Derby.
Oh, yeah.
We bought him little headphone thingies so that he doesn't like blow his little eardrums out so young. But yeah, that should be fun. Either that or he'll hate it. We'll see. Good times. What's your Beyond the Fringe, Jason?
This is a repeat, but it's still it's going to get me through the semester. Cold brew coffee. Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah, that's mine. I know this has been a repeat because I think this might be the third time I've actually used it, and it's not me being like lazy. It's the there are mornings just like, oh, do I want to be today? Well, this is what I got to do. Okay. In fact, I think I'm going to go get some in a second, to be perfectly honest.
That is fantastic. So you bought the brewing system that I recommended?
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to use it because I had picked up Dunkin' Donuts. I know. Don't tell me how horrible they are. They had created these packs that you can do them fairly easily, like
a tea bag, like tea.
Yeah, it's basically they're just coffee packets. You let them soak for 8 to 12 hours and fish them out, which is always kind of funky. And then you do that, and I wasn't liking that because. Some people like Dunkin' Donut coffee. That's fine. That's cool. But, I was wanting to try something else that wasn't just that, so I could get, I don't know, other flavors, whatever.
Right.
So, yeah.
Cool. Well, you know what? Cold brew coffee is worth a double mention for sure. I agree. I always have 2 pitchers going at once.
Yeah, I saw that. I was impressed.
But Wendy really wanted me. She's been trying to save money in weird ways because of baby. There's some things you don't know. No. For example, toilet paper. You do not buy cheap toilet paper, no matter how many babies you have. Your butt deserves. We ain't poor, okay? No. Another thing is coffee. We can get this giant thing of great value coffee. I'm like, we're not getting great value coffee.
No, that's...
Oh, this will be fine. Like, no, it's terrible. It's like I have 2 pitchers in there made with great value coffee, and I'm like, I'm just going to dump all this out because this is terrible. Anyways, anywho, or as Campbell on Badcast says, any whomst. Let's take a break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about the Blood Ravens.
Yeah.
And we're also going to talk, after that, we're going to talk about, like, matching up your Successor Chapter to the Successor Chapter tactics. it should prove to be a fun episode.
Oh, yeah.
But first, messages and pee break.
Hey Archons, tired of the boring predictability and efficiency of stuff that always works? You need the Slip Party Bus! Got an extra 473 points that you can't find a solid use for? You need the Slip Party Bus! You could spend 420 points on 3 reliable Lance Ravagers pumping out 9 Dark Lance shots per turn. That'll only give up 3 victory points, or you can drop 473 points on 2 Archons, 8 Slip, and a Raider for 11 victory points. You need the Slip Party Bus! The classic Slip Party Bus. Still awesome. Party Bus! Still hilarious. Party Bus! It's the Slip Party Bus! If you love the Slip Party Bus, you'll want to check out our other exciting products. We have the Rack Wiffle Ball Bat, the Trueborn, and the Blood Bride. Trueborn and Blood Bride models no longer available. The classic Slith Party Bus, still awesome, still hilarious. It's the Slith Party Bus!
Come here, boy, get the ball. Come on, Max, get the ball. Mom, Max won't get the ball. He's lazy.
I think I know why your Zote is being lazy, Jenny.
Why, Mom?
Because you forgot to feed him his Zotabix today.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes, Zotabix contains all the nutrients and random animal parts a growing Zote craves. It not only provides our Zote with the energy it needs to play with you and protect our home, but it also keeps its chitinous shell fresh and shiny.
Oh, boy, I'd better feed Max his Zotabix.
Yes, you had.
Zotabix is made in part from grade
Max,
A
time for
Astra
dinner.
Militarum post-engagement byproduct and is infused with 112 essential vitamins
No,
and
Max,
minerals
down.
harvested from your Zote's natural habitat, the finest desert depths.
Ah!
Zotabix is available in any shopping center on worlds where Zotes are allowed or where the Imperium's inexorable influence has not yet reached.
Welcome back. All right. So, we have an addendum.
Yes. Definitely an addendum to Beyond the Fringe. First of all, cold brew, still beautiful, but I need to go through and add one more thing. For those of you who are like into pro audio, Waves is a plugin company. Well, they're a software company that does pro audio plugins. And they have a group of plugins like X, Y, and Z Hum and X, Y, and Z Noise. That is my other Beyond the Fringe. It's amazing how well it will kill the fan noise and air conditioner noise in a track. I actually went and picked it up a couple of, I guess 6 weeks ago with our last recording because there were some sound issues that needed to be fixed. And they took care of it so quickly that, just with like 2 uses, I became an immediate fan. So that's my other Beyond the Fringe. Oh, just so we're all aware, I'm not sponsored and or endorse Waves. But, if you happen to work for them and want to throw some stuff my way, I'm inexpensive and I work well with others. Or I'm cheap and easy, however you want to look at it.
Yeah, I think.
All right. So,
Okay. So, as your body grows bigger, your mind must flower. It's great to learn because knowledge is power.
Right?
It's Schoolhouse Rocky, chip off the block. One of your favorite schoolhouses, Schoolhouse Rock. Boo! So
for those of you who don't
the Blood
recognize
Ravens.
that was Schoolhouse Rock. It was a cartoon series, was like played a lot during the 70s and 80s and into the 90s. on Saturday mornings.
Yeah, it's like a bumper.
Yeah.
For Saturday morning cartoons. Yeah. But you know what? Rewind. I have an addition to my Beyond the Fringe as well.
Good.
People who don't add me to Facebook groups designed to whine about Warhammer. Like I was added to this group of people who are super against the advancement of the lore, and they just want to play like 7th edition rules set and in like the M40 one instead of the advanced storyline. Don't add me to those. I don't care. Anyways, the Blood Ravens. The Blood Ravens. So do you want to talk about where this battle cry comes from?
Oh yeah. So their cry is knowledge is power. And so I actually went through and kind of looked that up for another project I'm working on. And it's actually commonly attributed to Sir Francis Bacon. But there's earlier documented occurrences. One of them's from Imam Ali. It was recorded in the 10th century. Mm-hmm. And it seems to be kind of a common thought. It goes across, multiple
because it's
cultures
a fact
that wisdom is power. Knowledge is power. These being learned, having understanding, is a power unto its own. And so, it's really interesting.
It's universal.
There's a Latin phrase that's in a couple of other languages as well. And I didn't always realize that, but it is really an interesting phrase that has a long history. I won't try and pronounce the Latin because, wow. Adam and I.
Well, here's the thing. Little known fact about Sir Francis Bacon. He was delicious.
He was. Yeah, that's okay. That's what I thought I heard. Okay, all right.
So the Blood Ravens come from the Dawn of War series. They, for whatever reason, it was decided that they weren't going to use an established chapter for that series. So they came up with the Blood Ravens for that. And there was an Index Astartes article written by a chubby Graham McNeil prior. So he's like not like buff like he is now. Yeah. He's kind of mealy. He was cute. I mean, I'm not body shaming or anything, but certainly not the svelte Vixen he is today. Vixen is a lady fox. Svelte bear? He's not hairy.
Yeah, let's not go any farther down this. He's hotter now, shall we say? He has he has
good for
aged
him.
Like a fine wine. There we go.
Mm-hmm. And I think that was prior to the release of Dawn of War 2. I think there were rumors of it or something at that point, right. Which, they wanted to get people excited about the Blood Ravens again, so they put that out. There have been some novelizations and short stories to go along with the Dawn of War series, Dawn of War 2, Dawn of War, and I assume Dawn of War 3, I don't know.
Dawn of War 3 was written by Robbie McNiven, and it's actually...
Robbie McNiven.
It's not bad. It's good. I mean, I like Robbie's other stuff from like the Space Shark stuff. Right. That stuff is awesome. But
Space Shark do 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 Space Shark do 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 Space Shark do 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 Space Shark. There's somebody on Twitter who painted some space sharks, and their left pauldron has do on it. This is amazing. Then there was an Index Astartes article written for 2019, and I found the PDF of the old one, and it is literally the same article, but just stuff added to it.
Yeah, they just added the Primaris, not the Primaris stuff, but what happened after the Rift opened.
Yeah. I mean, and to be honest, how can you improve upon Graham McNeil's article? I mean, you just can't.
Yeah,
so that's fine. Especially since the short story that was in there. There was a short story for the.
Oh yes. I love that short story.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay, but I just got a little uppity about the story.
Oh.
Because there's a line in there. Is where he says, "You will grant boarding rights to my warriors and I." And here the Primarch Reborn statements and declarations. This is said by a
custodian.
Custodes. Yeah. You will grant boarding rights to my warriors and I. This went through an author and multiple editors and still came out with warriors and I at the end of a clause. No. Warriors and me. What does it say? How does it sound if you don't have my warriors in there? You will grant boarding rights to I. No. You will grant boarding rights to me. You will grant boarding rights to my warriors and me. Stop it. Stop it. Enough. There's so many stories that people are recently. It's just been like nothing but this and I crap. And then in TV shows, and it's just terrible. It's a disease that's been spreading, and it's not stopping. Anyways,
okay, so
I'm gonna let you take the first. I'm just gonna let you take the first group here, the first little piece while I call.
All right. Okay? So in the lore, all right. So there's all sorts of cool stuff. For those of you who haven't realized, or maybe you're, I don't know, taking this, listening to us out of order. I don't know. I've got about 5,000 or 6,000 points of Blood Ravens. I don't know. There's a certain point where you don't look at those things anymore. So, anyways, this is a really exciting episode for me. So, in the lore, the founding of the Blood Ravens is unknown, although mention of the chapter does exist in the annals of other chapters. Any detailed history of their deeds date back no further than M37. This fact forms the core of their identity. They always, search for their origins. Who are they? The Blood Ravens have a naturally inquisitive nature, and the facts of their genesis are of insatiable import to them. The Blood Ravens scour the galaxy for lore and artifacts relating to their genesis as a chapter, and quite frankly, any topic of import. Even their motto and battle cry is "Knowledge is power," often followed by "Guard it well." So I've actually had students who will say something like, knowledge is power, and I will reply, "Guard it well," just to see who's listening. Yeah, I'm going to find that 40K nerd in my studio or in my school, and it will be lovely. Or maybe not. I don't know.
You're probably not.
So anyway,
that's fine. Because it's not just 40K, but it's someone who knows the Blood Ravens enough to know that.
Yeah, it's I forgot to mention this earlier. I've never played any of the Dawn of War games. Period.
Yeah, neither have I. So I think there'll be a lot of people out there who, we've used the summaries and the short stories and the articles for this, but not the actual gameplay. Yeah. I was doing other things other than video games when this game was released. Yeah. Things that would rot your teeth and your mind. So the Blood Ravens' philosophy is reflected in their combat doctrine. The Blood Ravens are largely Codex compliant in their order of battle. Their companies are set up like you would expect. But they prefer to employ an extensive campaign of information gathering before engaging the enemy directly. In short, they do not believe in the adage, "No plan survives contact with the enemy." Some chapters who engage in a more direct combat doctrine balk at this methodology and attribute it as a weakness, though even they cannot doubt the Blood Raven's zeal when they do finally engage in direct combat. Although the Blood Ravens are utilized for the usual types of engagements assigned to other Space Marine chapters, they have a natural predilection for deep, wide-ranging investigations which lead to revelations of both lore and technology. It is not uncommon to find Blood Ravens engaged in exploratory activities alongside the Adeptus Mechanicus. Similarly, it's not uncommon for the motives of the Blood Ravens to be in direct opposition to the Inquisition. It's definitely a thing that happens.
Yeah.
It's recorded. I kind of the no plan survives contact with the enemy is seen as a a truth of war, and the Blood Ravens just don't believe in it.
Yeah,
their plan at the start of a campaign is their plan at the end of the campaign, and woe to anybody who tries to tell them differently.
Of course, it may take them a while to formulate that plan, but
Yeah.
So this is really cool. The Blood Ravens also boast a large number in their librarias, which is one of the reasons I was drawn towards them. Of course, their chapter core belief would naturally revere librarians and all they stand for, but this doesn't explain their ability to cultivate such a large number of librarians. It is suspected that some of the surviving worlds in the Aurelian subsector where the Blood Ravens do their recruitment have a high instance of mutation. There is a ruling council among the chapter elite called the Secret Masters who make many of the overarching decisions affecting chapter organization. And many of those serving in this capacity are also the librarians. One other fun thing is that there's actually... the first company has battle librarians. Because, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boo, 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 boo.
And so the librarians are quite important within the chapter. So some of the earliest histories speak of Chief Librarian Azariah Vidya, also known as the Great Father or the Father Librarian. Mm-hmm. During a bloody campaign against the forces of chaos in the Gothic sector, the Imperium was on its back foot trying to tamp out an uncontrollable rash of uprisings and civil wars throughout the sector. The Imperium had brashly thought the Ruinous powers were weak and poorly equipped. Their lack of vision cost them dearly and also cost the Blood Ravens dearly, losing the majority of their command staff in the process, and it was up to Vidya to shoulder the burden of command.
Yes, this is kind of a seminal moment for the Blood Ravens. It kind of partly explains their high incidence of psychers and their number. He was a powerful, this Vidya was a powerful psyker. He had the gift of foresight and incredible wisdom. He was able to he was very calculating. He spent months feinting against the enemy, so falling back and kind of getting their disposition by just kind of engaging them in short skirmishes. Then he ordered his men and all their ancillary forces to kind of scour the battlefields for any data which might assist them in going back on the offensive. All the while, Vidya studied this information and scried his foe's intent. Eventually, he formed this huge complex plan that ranged over the whole sector, and he executed it with this preternatural kind of precision. He sent all the Blood Ravens out in these little strike forces and hammered out the many kind of unlikely enemy positions, which actually turned out to be very pivotal victories in the favor of the Imperium. So not only did the Blood Ravens hit the enemy forces exactly where they were weakest and where they would kind of get the most bang for their buck, but they also cut off the supply lines, and also kind of did so in a way that allowed the Imperium to capture any fleeing enemies in kind of a net. So they struck at the enemy, they cut off their supply lines, and when they tried to flee, he knew where they would flee to, and therefore had a bunch of ships there ready to catch them unawares. Evidence later revealed that Vidya had not just repelled any common chaos uprising, but the machinations of the Alpha Legion themselves. So, one man, one Space Marine thwarted the plans of the Alpha Legion.
Yeah.
That's significant.
Yes, it is.
That's a significant boast. So Azariah Vidya was subsequently the first Blood Ravens librarian to be raised to the level of chapter master. A tradition that is unheard of in other chapters, but is accepted among the Blood Ravens despite their adherence to the Codex of Studies and other matters.
Yep.
So they do have non-librarian chapter masters, but there have been more than one Blood Ravens librarian as a chapter, because again, this goes back to their way of thinking that someone with that deep knowledge is someone worthy of following into battle because they'll have the knowledge they need to execute a plan with precision.
Yeah.
So it's just part of who they are.
Well, the way that I used to play my Blood Ravens 7th edition was I had a chapter master, but he was never the warlord, ever. And it wasn't because, trying to save the, kill the warlord or whatever thing, but it was more he can do powerful things, but he's not the real power here.
Right.
So, and I played it that way because that was what I felt was closer to the way that the Blood Ravens would normally run that, or should, in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, all right. So even the chapter's own homeworld is shrouded in the veil of time. For millennia, Aurelia operated as a well-regarded hive world in the Croinius sector. Yeah, rough. Okay.
Sure.
So it was a hive world. And in late M40, the world was engulfed in a warp storm summoned by the Great Unclean One, Ulkar. After the Blood Ravens and the population suffered terrible losses, Epistolary Azariah Kiris managed to imprison the mighty demon. Unfortunately, the world and Kiris with it disappeared into the warp. And this is from the Dawn of War stuff, if I remember right. So,
yeah.
500 years later, Kiris reappeared in real space and helped the Blood Ravens' 5th Company succeed in escaping the Space Hulk Judgment of Carrion. As it turns out, he was only able to do so by enlisting the help of the Great Unclean One. Oopsie. Ulkar, whose influence reached out into the 5th Company even from his psychic prison. The company's apothecary was soon corrupted by a demonic presence, thus accelerating the process of his brother's indoctrination. Meanwhile, Kiris himself soon rose to the position of chief librarian and chapter master. They worked to free Ulkar from his prison on Aurelia, summoning the world back into real space for a final climactic battle with their own chapter, led by Gabriel Angelos and his contemporaries. After the Black Legion was thrown back and the Great Unclean One defeated, the Dead World was garrisoned by the Astra Militarum. To this day, the 5th Company wears badges of penitence upon their battle plate because of this. The 5th Company is referred to as was it the Fated? They're kind of your they're the bad children.
They are, and even though everybody was basically purged, there still needs to be a 5th Company. So anybody who's in that 5th Company is paying for their brother's mistakes by wearing these badges of shame, and it's up to them to kind of cleanse their company of that taint.
Yeah.
So, knowledge may be power, as the chapter's motto suggests, but it is also highly dangerous. It is thought that evidence pointing to rumors of the Blood Raven's genesis was destroyed by Captain Davian Thule on the Cronus tomb world, along with the tomb itself. They did the whole tactical thing of setting a bunch of bombs in the tomb world and blowing it up.
Yeah.
During the Dark Crusade, in order to avoid censure by the Inquisition. It's also thought that the chapter's massive archives were scoured of many dangerous truths by the great Father Librarian Azariah Vidya himself. So that's why a lot of stuff doesn't exist from prior to his installment. One cannot help but wonder whether these prominent patriarchs of the chapter understood well their brother's inquisitive nature and knew that the secrets of their founding would never be safe if these facts were allowed to remain even in the dimmest of lights. The tradition of the chapter's leadership protecting their brothers with a secret campaign of obfuscation might continue to this day. Gabriel Angelos, during his time as captain of the 3rd Company, for example, tipped off the Inquisition to a cultural uprising on his own home planet and major Blood Ravens recruitment world of Cyrene, causing it to suffer exterminatus in the process. Yeah, it's like all my kids are super like inquisitive, and I have to save them from their own inquisitiveness, from their own curiosity.
Yeah. There's a short story that was written and published by Black Library about the destruction of Cyrene, like why he did it. and it's pretty trippy.
Yeah.
Basically just
Do
kind of
tell.
chaos influence. It was pretty rough.
Mm.
And one of the things,
Yeah,
to
that planet
build
got a
on
little.
Oh, go
That
ahead.
planet was like corrupted by they had a lot of mutations on the
Yeah.
planet, but also a high incidence of psychers,
Yeah.
which was good for the chapter. But a lot of those people had to be put down basically because
Yeah.
they were not right, and eventually it just caught up with them.
Yeah. Well, to bring on the kind of protective nature, not always telling, secret campaigns of obfuscation. Pronounce that word. If you read the short story that's in the White Dwarf, they receive all this Primaris stuff, and like one of the last sentences, last paragraphs is, "Don't tell Angelos."
Yeah, exactly.
And I loved
they know
that.
better.
I loved reading that. I laughed out loud when I heard that. In fact, it's a good reason why you might want to play Dark Angels too. Is a codex. If you want to, I don't know. Won't go any farther on that. So here we go. In recent years, the Blood Ravens have been subjected to several bloody campaigns, the aforementioned Aurelia and Kronos, among others, and their numbers have been reduced drastically. Gabriel Angelos, worried of losing more of his brothers piecemeal, ordered the entire chapter to regroup at Aurelia for a large-scale recruitment effort. After the coming of the Cicatrix Maledictum, however, Angelos was forced to order the remains of his chapter to respond to as many calls for aid from throughout the sector as possible. The Blood Ravens fought hard to rescue their worlds from the horrible fate that had befallen it. But mutation and psychic backlash were rampant throughout the region, and countless psychers died or were corrupted beyond redemption. So Aurelia is on the other side of the Maledictum. They are cut off from the light of Terra.
Yeah, they are able to do warp jumps, but they have to do multiple quick warp jumps within like viewing range.
Yeah.
So they can only jump as far as they can see, which when everything is such a disaster, you don't want it to be so much as far as you can see, because there's a time distortion for light. So if you're like, oh, that looks fine, and you jump there and it's not fine, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So they had to do just this laborious multiple jumps to get everywhere they needed to go.
Yeah, if you read Aaron Dembski Bowden's Spear of the Emperor, he does go into he goes into detail about these sorts of things and what's happening to chapters on the other side of the rift. That's a really great book. Really interesting stuff in there.
I bought it on Audible. I haven't listened to it yet. I think I should do that while I'm working on my next project, because I'm not catching up to podcasts in my drive to work.
Yeah.
So I really should start reading that at home.
Yeah, I liked the book quite a bit. I wasn't sure if I would or not. I mean, I always like his stuff. That's easy. But I wasn't sure what I would think of this one. And after listening to it, I thought, oh, this is great. So, yeah.
I think some of his Night Lord stuff just went on Audible as well.
Oh.
So if anybody's interested in picking that up, they can start listening to... And I've heard really great things about the Night Lord stuff, because he really goes into their psychology and stuff in that. I listened to, or I watched the recent Voxcast with him on it, and it was really good. It was a great interview. Yeah. I guess he doesn't like doing interviews, but that was a really good one. I haven't really listened to a detailed interview with him before.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. I've listened to interviews where he talks about a specific project, but nothing quite so in depth on him as in his career.
Yeah. Cool.
So, the big question is still eluding Warhammer fans. There are many circumstantial or apocryphal accounts which might point to the Blood Ravens being the successor of one of the Traitor Legions.
Yeah.
The favorite among these being the Thousand Sons. How they might have resisted or risen from the ashes of the rubric is not even guessed at. So, good job there.
Yeah.
Another theory is that they aren't the successor to a single Traitor Legion, but maybe several Loyalists as well. So like multiple trader, it's like an experiment of merging the gene seed of some of the traitor legions and some loyalist legions to create a new line of more psychic Astartes without all the kind of baggage of those traitor legions. According to the White Dwarf article from July 2019, the Blood Ravens have been investigating the gene seed of the Primaris Marines provided by the Lord Commander, and they have made some insights. But it's kind of left unclear whether the Apothecarion in charge of that investigation has enlightened Chapter Master Gabriel Angelos or not. Probably not.
Probably not.
At any rate, the secrets they have gleaned have certainly not left the chapter.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, it's smart because their leadership has a way of burying things they shouldn't know.
Yeah. So here's a fun one. And this is one of the more amusing things that I like about the Blood Ravens. So another matter that should be discussed is the insinuation that the Blood Ravens are thieves. Among the hucksters of the Warhammer community and fandom, the Blood Ravens have been given the nickname the Magpies or the Bloody Magpies. This comes from the fact that in Dawn of War games, players can equip their units with all manners of strange relics from various sources, including other chapters, the Inquisition, the Aldari, and many more besides. There's even a relic called the Golden Armor of the Custodes, which has been said to have been worn by one of the warriors who stormed the Vengeful Spirit the day Horus was slain. Most of these relics have histories veiled in mystery, in particular how the Blood Ravens came by them in the first place. The Blood Ravens don't, after all, have any sense of heritage prior to M37. They don't have a vast store of ancient relics from their own past. It stands to reason that they would, as their eponymous totem the Radum would suggest, pick and clean the bones of the dead is a perfectly reasonable way to maintain combat readiness and pick up some really cool gear.
Yeah, it's funny to consider them just these simple kleptomaniacs.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, the path of least resistance is that it's just the nature of their chapter to seek out knowledge and relics anyways. Yeah. They are incurably curious and committed to seeking revelation, sometimes whatever the cost, at any cost, you know. Unfortunately, it's often at great peril, and that doesn't seem to matter to them in the slightest, especially considering their leaders will simply do whatever they can to clean up their messes for them. You could also consider much of the lore gleaned from the Dawn of War series to be apocryphal. But what fun is that? I really think, it does make a lot of sense that, like the raven is a animal that makes use of dead, dead things, right? Like they don't waste their, like buzzards, their nature's cleanup unit, they're like their nature's,
and they do like shiny objects.
Janitor.
Yeah.
And they do like shiny objects. There's a lot going on there. So I don't know. I wouldn't call them kleptomaniacs. I certainly would say that they have a predilection for seeking out knowledge and relics and stuff. And I don't think they genuinely don't believe that the intent is for it to seem as if they steal from other chapters and other people. But if they come across something useful, it's not like they're they're not gonna give it away. Like, oh, well, you finders keepers, man, finders keepers.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about this more on the tabletop, but I love playing games that have relics or objectives that, have some sort of knowledge base to them, because I feel that that's, what they're there for. Not so much to steal, but to, find this knowledge, to amass it. That's kind of how I play that. But we'll talk more about that when we get to, I think, on the tabletop. So. Yeah.
So let's talk about the Blood Raven. First of all, how would you go about building a Blood Ravens army? They are Codex compliant in the way that they're set up. So basically, you can make a Blood Ravens army out of whatever models you want, from the range for Space Marines. But there are certain ways of equipping them that will make them feel more Blood Raven-y, right?
Yeah, and there's all sorts of like we've written down some of the notes, like, you know, Gabriel Angelos.
That's specifically Blood Ravens, right?
He's only Blood Ravens.
He's a Forge
World kit. Artel used to make a kit, but it's no longer available. You know, and the Gabriel Angelos kit's cool in that it has like this. I'm trying to remember which Terminator armor he has. It's, you know, very ornate. It's you know, this kind of beautiful kit. But if you're like me, and I don't always like running Terminators. I mean, I have the kit. I haven't built it yet. But he's a good one to add. Do you want me to go over the other stuff that I had written in here, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
You're the expert.
I'm the nerd. Okay, so so there's Gabriel Angelos. Some other stuff that I've added in for not only my army, but for those of you who are familiar with the Blood Ravens army, the Blood Ravens army that's always in White Dwarf is Rick Turner's. And so I look at a lot of times at his army for inspiration for my own. So, for instance, he has Grey Knights actually in there to represent the battle librarians.
He has Blood Angels too.
Yeah, which is where I got that idea.
Yeah,
I added a Dread Knight because, you know, Dread Knights. I mean, they're not as good as they were like in 5th edition, but who cares? I mean, it's a guy in a stompy robot. I mean, how awesome is that, right? So there's.
Well, yeah, and you know what, dude? Like, I feel like this is one of those great arguments for allowing players to mix factions. Yeah. I know that there's still to this day, Jesus, even now, people like today, even I have this. See on social media people complaining about the way you can build armies and soup armies and like everybody's still stuck in this freaking 5th edition mindset. Right. It's driving me up a tree. But like this army really shines if you can sprinkle in some Grey Knights, sprinkle in some Blood Angels, so you can get like a sweet Blood Angels Librarian Dreadnought in there. Yeah. And the best way to do that is like, I'm just gonna take like the one model detachment that's like -1 CP or whatever. Right. Why not? That's fine. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
And
it's to build your army the way you want
Dread that I've never used because I just never have. I mean, it's so difficult to get them back and forth without. Well, in 7th edition now, it's easier to bring in 8th edition with that one command point. But you know, that's the Grey Knights, paint them up as librarians. Bingo, there you go. What other things to say? Oh yeah, add in Horse Heresy kits, like old marks of armor and weapons. You know, give it the idea of, hey, here's this plasma dude who's running like a Mark III and Mark IV combination. You know, I go and pick up some of the Forge World weapons just so I can say, here's this old relic that they're using. Isn't that cool? Right. For those of you who can't see my notes, I wrote plastic resin bits that can be sprinkled within the Chibi Marine units.
Also, the heads and shoulder pads can, and I think the guns can be used with the Primaris kits as well.
The shoulder pads definitely can. I've been using beakies to put on some of the Primaris Marines just because I like the beaky look.
Yeah, I still have like 25 beaky heads that I'm going to be adding to my Star Eagles for veteran units when I get a chance. I definitely want to use the Vanguard Marines for those veteran units.
Yeah. Those are. I mean, I love the beaky helmets. I mean, that's.
Oh yeah.
That's 40K to me. It just kind of screams it. Although I really do like the Mark III, gladiator type helmet. Let's see. Yeah, also, add relic dreads and vehicles like from Forge World, like the Sicarans or some Contemptors or Daredeos, Leviathans. I mean, they've gone looking for things, and they can find the Sicarans, or they may have them. Not that just they're going through and liberating them from Ultramar. And one other thing, you can use Mechanicus.
It might be that another chapter's stamp is on the bottom of that tank, but finders keepers.
Well, yeah. there's two other things. There's the Mechanicus and Mechanicum kits, for extra tech bits. I've rated some of the Imperial Knights bits like they have left over to make objective markers.
Mm-hmm.
There's also all the new Primaris upgrade kits like Dark Angels and Blood Angels and Space Wolves and all that. That you can go through and grab those extra bits. Those might look.
If I were playing Blood Ravens, I would add like the sensor packages and like and the floodlights and stuff to all my vehicles.
Yeah.
Maybe even adding stuff like Voxcaster units from the Imperial Guard kits and whatever, just because it would make sense that the Blood Ravens would have a lot more kind of advanced sensor tech on all of their vehicles. You know what? I think the new Walker.
Oh yeah,
the new crude Walker is definitely something that's super Blood Raven-y. Like that is a scout vehicle if I've ever seen one, and it would be an easy scout. It's not. It can go anywhere, right? It's multi role and multi environment. It's not like a Rhino where you have to. It's like, well, I guess I'm not climbing a mountain with this Rhino. It can actually climb over things and get through really rough terrain very easily.
I haven't looked at the base size, but I wonder if it'll go into Zone Mortalis.
I doubt it. That's not a Zone Mortalis. I mean, I don't think you'd want to.
Well, it's the same size as a
I don't
regular
know.
Dread,
I'm
right?
not gonna bust your narrative bubble. If you want to add it to Zone Mortalis, go ahead.
Well, yeah, and there's all sorts of fun stuff that could be done. I haven't looked at that kit yet, just because, Knights are next, whether I like it or not.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
One last thing, Duncan did a painting video for the Blood Ravens. In fact, I think he actually did here's how you draw it on the shoulder pad, which,
yes,
yeah, okay.
Yeah, he did that video, but there's also a article in that July, I think.
It's July.
Oh, I just spilled nuts on the floor. July 2019 issue of White Dwarf has that Blood Raven painting video or painting
guide,
step by step how to do that. So that's a cool one to pick. I mean, if you're playing Blood Ravens, you already have this issue, but
it's also the same painting guide that was in. So there used to be a Painting Space Marines iTunes enhanced painting guide. It's the same colors.
Uh-huh.
So they basically took that old thing that only appeared in one page in the Space Marines and the Unknown Foundings, and they just basically took that and exploded it out. So it's the same thing, but it's been printed now and it's a lot more in depth. So I was pretty happy with it, And it's still, they kept the same way of painting, which I do the Corn Red as the base. I know a lot of people who use the Mephiston Red as their base color. So, and either one's fine. I mean, it's red, black, and bone. Works for me. All right, so
let's talk
shall we
about
go on to
Blood Ravens on your.
tabletop?
Yeah, Blood Ravens on your tabletop.
All right.
The chapter tactics are they call them Relentless Seekers in the White Dwarf article, but they're successor chapter basic from the Codex. So you reroll 1 or 2 to wound on them, or not reroll. You always wound on a 1 or a 2 when you're rolling to wound them. No matter how high your strength is, which is really great when you're getting stomped on by knights. And you also reroll 1s in psychic tests or deny the witch, which is, and that's any 1s you roll. So if you roll 2 1s, you reroll both of them.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. I think that's really neat, especially, if you're playing it narratively, you've probably got a couple librarians in your army.
Yes.
So, that's really, I think that's a good one. For the Blood Ravens for sure.
Yeah, I like the rules actually. One of the gripes that I heard in the Blood Ravens groups that I'm on was, well, now they've got this new codex and we're not in the codex. And yeah, okay, fine. We're not quote unquote in the Codex, but the 2 tactics that we have are in the new Codex. I mean, they're just there, and you can take those 2 tactics, and so I will be taking them.
Just because other people can have your nice things means that you're upset.
Well, there was that, and there was like this one bolt pistol, Purgatorius, I believe, that was supposed to be Blood Ravens only. Now it's everyone, but that's okay because really, it all belongs to Blood Ravens anyway. Everyone else is just
it all belongs to Blood Ravens. And I was gonna say, if I were a Blood Ravens player, I would definitely be taking the Relics of the Chapter stratagem at the beginning of the game. Spend 3 command points, add 2 additional relics to your army.
Oh,
duh.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Duh. Duh. I will do that. Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So some of the scenarios that we were going to talk about that the Blood Ravens would really dig. So the Relic.
Duh.
Yeah, I mean, the Relic is one of my favorite scenarios to play. I actually have a special Relic that I have built outside. Like I have my 6 objective markers, but I have a specific Relic that is a kit bash from all sorts of cool stuff.
Nice.
What else? Objective missions.
Just objective missions in general are perfect for whether it's like, consecutive scoring or end of game scoring. It's, they're always on the search for different things.
Escape missions with a Relic. I love those. I've
I've seen a few. Those are fun. There's a bunch of them in the Vigilus. Maybe a bunch is exaggerating, but there's a few in Vigilus that you can use.
Let's see. Add a psychic element to your objective missions.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like only psychers can score objectives, or psychers score D3 VP per turn instead of 1 VP per turn. Something like that. Come on. That might be a fun way to do those scenarios. Of course, you want to add some kind of balancing factor for the opposition, but that's the kind of thing. Or, if it's only psychers can score, then,
Yeah, which, this whole new Psychic Awakening thing that's been...
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I bet that's coming down the pike anyways, huh?
I'm hoping. I'll be honest, I'm really looking forward to it. Whenever I saw that, I was like, oh, I think I found what I want to play. Also, we haven't seen it yet, so we'll see. It should be fun. Yeah. We can also allow Blood Raven Psychers to reroll dice for objective missions with hidden primary objectives. Those are all interesting scenarios that could work.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them where it's like roll a dice. Yeah. If you roll a 6, this is the primary objective. Remove all the other ones from the battlefield. Yeah. So a Blood Raven Psyker would know probably which one is so whenever you fail to roll it, just roll again and you see if you get it.
That would be a fun one. That'd be really cool. I am looking forward to the new Psychic Awakening campaign because that seems like it'll work pretty well for the way I run my Blood Ravens.
I'm looking forward to it, dude. So are you inspired by this episode for continuing to work on your Blood Ravens?
Well, yeah, I've been working on them. I spent the summer building a lot of them. One thing I forgot to mention, this was...
Dude, you painted a ton, dude. You painted a ton with the airbrush.
Oh, yeah. Well, So our buddy Justin from It Will Not Die had mentioned he was wanting to see what I was going to do with the airbrush. He's like, because I had played around with it, and he's just like, I think you're going to do okay. And so I think I'm all right.
Yeah, dude, you're crushing it with that airbrush.
Well, I got to thank Caleb and Kat from CK Studios, know.
I should have made you give me a free lesson when you were here.
Well, it'll happen. I mean, because I think I told you I actually have been giving airbrushing lessons down here. So, because, I don't teach enough, right?
Right. I guess they canceled their class in New Jersey, so there hasn't been one near me yet.
Yeah.
I just can't. I don't think I couldn't afford it right now. Anyways, any hoomst. See, now we stole something else. Anyhoomst, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about, this is a great opportunity to talk about picking the right chapter tactic for your successor chapter, okay? So anyways, we'll be right back after pee time, because there's a lot of coffee in us.
Hey mofos, are you looking for more Warhammer 40k video content? Well, the Scarred Cast posts regular battle reports as well as tactics and strategy videos. Be sure to check out all the cool hobby content for the avid tabletop wargamer. That's Scarred Cast, Skared on YouTube.
Blood Ravens Chapter is a Facebook group set up and run by passionate fans of the mysterious Space Marine Chapter. They have weekly features, regular competitions, and an encouraging community ethos designed to let people get the most from their hobby. Search for plus Blood Ravens Chapter plus on Facebook using the plus symbol if you're a fan or collector of these heroes of the Imperium. Knowledge is power. Guard it well.
Greetings, mofos.
Are you out of George Dickel number 8, staring at a broken chess machine?
Don't want to spend the rest of the year tied to that couch?
Well, why don't you head on over to the 1 Hour a Night Facebook page and see what exciting stuff is going on there. It's a place to post all your daily progress in the hobby grind, as well as receive and give positive feedback. Also, there are usually a few interesting challenges going on.
That's right. All you have to do is search for 1 Hour a Night on Facebook. That's numeral 1 hour a night, all one word. Blood serum tests will be administered prior to approval.
Se til helvete og kom dere vekk. Det ikke ei bikkje, det en slags ting. Den imiterer ei bikkje, men det ikke det. Kom dere vekk, idioter!
What he said.
And we're back.
All right. Do we have
Hi,
someone
Jason.
that's joining us?
No, Quinn's watching the Yankees.
Oh, well, okay, fine.
But, I mean, he is joining us. He's squealing in the background. He's been squealing in the background for the past hour.
Oh, well.
He's in his bouncer watching the Yankees with Mom. It's pretty great.
That's cool. It's good to,
Well, he had a long nap. Naps are key.
Yes.
Like, so here's a weird thing. People think that a kid who doesn't, like, if you skip a nap, he'll go to bed, or she will go to bed earlier and sleep longer. That is literally the opposite of the truth. They start, it's just like a person. If you don't go to bed when you're tired, your body produces chemicals that keep you awake and keep you awake even longer.
Yeah.
So it's bad. It's real bad. So they want them to take a nap. Anyways.
Yeah. Naps are good. I like naps, and I'm at that age that was just like, I never liked naps as a child. I don't know. I'm weird. But I like them now. Or at least I'm enjoying them more often. Or at least I just read. I don't know. Whatever. Okay, so now we're up to picking the right chapter tactics.
Knowledge is power.
Say what?
Knowledge is power.
Yeah, knowledge is power. There you go. All right. So the new codex, we're now allowed to either take, of course, if you're playing Raven Guard or who else is important besides Raven Guard? Oh yeah, Ultramarines, Imperial Fists, Salamanders, etc. Now, if you want to go through and create your own custom chapter tactics, you can pick 2, right?
You can pick 2. Some of them are represented in the first founding chapter tactics. Like both of one of the Ultramarine, like the +1 leadership from the Ultramarines, the bolter drill stuff from the Imperial Fist, whatever, are represented as successor chapter tactics. Yeah. Some of them are not, because some of them are just plain. I don't want to say better, but some of them would be easy choices. The Iron Hand 6+ ignore wounds chapter tactic and the Ultramarines fall back and shoot ability are not represented in the successor chapter tactics. Those are specifically apply to those chapters, which for good reason. So why don't we go through these tactics and talk about the kinds of chapter traits are represented by the chapters.
Yeah.
And we'll do them like maybe just take them two at a time. First of all, you have bolter fusillades. That allows you to reroll hit rolls of 1 with bolt weapons. This represents like really well drilled battle line focused chapters. Chapters whose psychology are very deliberate and thoughtful. So you're talking about just very disciplined chapters.
Yeah.
Bolter fusillades also seems to be one that the designers feel is kind of a default Space Marine-y one, because that was one when I listened to I more listened to the live streams by Games Workshop because I listened to them at work, so I'll or when I'm hobbying, so I'll just have it kind of on in the background, and that seemed to be one that they jumped to a lot. Then we have Born Heroes. This is kind of the same kind of one that the Space Wolves have. You get a 6-inch heroic intervention out of this one. This kind of represents the very like lead from the front style of leadership. Very combat focused, brash and brave, or chapters that engage in guerrilla warfare. You know.
Then we have.
I can definitely see that on a lot of chapters that are not Blood Ravensy.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, I. It's funny. I look at some of the chapter tactics and think, nope, never take that one, and that's one of them. Like every time I looked, I was like, nope. All right, so Duelist, unmodified 6s in combat versus infantry or bikers automatically hit and wound. I like that one, but I don't think I'd ever use it.
Yeah.
But I really like it. It cannot be taken with Whirlwind of Rage because it would stack in a way that, no. So this is going to be more of your, combat-focused chapters, martial artists, nimble, precise, something, more, one-on-one.
Very art of war, but art of more like close combat, art of war type chapter.
It's interesting. I do
very
like the
Emperor's
rules.
Children-y.
I'm not sure I would be running them with Blood Ravens. I would probably take them with maybe a Raven Guard Successor Chapter. Yeah, sure. And I think like keeping it to infantry and bikers is also good. This would be way too powerful against vehicles. Yeah. Then we have a Fearsome Aspect. So -1 leadership to enemies within 3 inches. So, chapters that have like terrifying trophies or intimidating armor or Vox augmentation, mutations, infamy, something possibly Space Sharks, maybe.
Yeah, I definitely could see Space Sharks, or even like the Minotaurs.
Oh yeah.
They have like a reputation for just cleansing people.
Yeah.
So I think that makes a lot of sense for them to cause a -1 leadership. It doesn't have to be represented on the model. It could just be the fact that chapter are infamous for being just terrifying. Yeah. Also, you could do you have a Hungry for Battle. So there's a +1 to advance and charge. I could see this one being popular in matched play settings, especially with the new way you can deep strike drop pods on turn 1.
Oh yeah.
Going from a 9-inch charge to an 8-inch charge is huge in matched play.
Yeah.
So this would be represented by very hot-headed chapters who are very eager to get into battle with a bloodlust.
Yeah.
Or crusading chapters like the I don't know, like the this could have been one for
like the Black Templars,
the Black Templars, or just another chapter like that. Or the Blood Angels types.
Oh yeah.
Ones who are quick into battle, or you could say if your chapter has a lot of augmetics, like an Iron Hand Successor. but a different kind of Iron Hand successor instead of ones that are this implacable force of robot men.
Yeah.
Instead, they run to get engaged in combat. I think in the last episode we talked about like a Iron Hand successor who eschews life, who are not interested, like a loyalist version of the Purge. So like this would be one that would be represented by that kind of chapter.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, I could see that.
Indomitable. Only one model flees on a failed morale check. So these are like cool-headed chapters who are experienced and hyper indoctrinated, perhaps even jaded.
Yeah.
Like ones who, well, they're kind of blasé about horrible things that are happening around them.
Yeah, and they're taking a lot of maximum-sized units. Yeah.
Right, and you could also say like, you could include like Hungry for Battle and Indomitable kind of go together.
Yeah.
So like if they're taking huge risks by throwing themselves into combat, perhaps there's a combination there. Like they're just so full of bloodlust that they just don't flee.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, okay. Next up, sorry, I was contemplating some things that can be done with that. Next up, we have Inheritors the Primarch. So this is pick any of the first founding tactic groupings. You can't take this with another tactic, and if your successor chapter is a known successor to a specific chapter, then you must select that chapter tactics. So if you have, for instance, the Marauders are White Scars successors, you can't use Ultramarines because that's just the way it is. So, use White Scars or come up with something different.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're not forced to take Inheritors of the Primarch.
Yeah.
But if you do take Inheritors of the Primarch, you must use your successors.
Yeah.
Or sorry, your progenitors' tactic.
Yeah. Next up is Knowledge is Power. I wonder who this belongs to. Reroll ones for any psychic checks or deny the witch. So it's going to be a army that has, a psychic background. Maybe they're cursed, blessed. Maybe they have a possession of a relic, touched by a warped entity, or maybe there's the Blood Ravens. Yeah.
Right. Maybe they recruit from worlds that are highly touched by psychic.
Right.
By psychers or whatever. I could also see, like you were saying, like maybe each model has this or has like a special relic of some kind. Every psyker has a relic of some
kind. And
kind.
what's fun about this is, or at least for me, was whenever you gave me the book, whenever you gave me the codex, that was like one of the first things I went looking for. Is like, well, do the Blood Ravens have tactics? No. Okay. And I started looking through the chapter traits. It's like, aha, yeah, I do. So that was like the first thing I went. That was the first thing I went looking for. Is like, come on, man, I really don't want to carry this white dwarf around for the rest of eternity.
The next one is Long Range Marksman, which is a +3 inches to all ranged weapons.
Ooh.
So in this, you're talking about it. So it adds 3 to all range. So it's not just, I would say not just long range weapons, but short range weapons this matters for as well. It might even matter more for short range weapons. So this would be a chapter that is comprised of skirmishers or snipers. They might have ocular augmetics. Basically any chapter that's tactical might want to think about this particular chapter tactic. Adding +3 inches to a bolter makes it much easier to kind of skirt at outside of charge range, you know?
Yeah, and it advances the
or at the edge of charge
range,
range,
range as well.
Brings up the rapid fire range as well, exactly. Next we have Master Artisans. So for each unit, when shooting or fighting, reroll 1 hit and 1 wound. So this is could be very skilled, like Salamanders-y. They're really good at making excellent weapons, but also you could just say that they're lucky. kind of like the orcs, or they're blessed by the Emperor for some reason.
Yeah.
Maybe each bolter, maybe all of their weapons are blessed by a priest of Mars or a priest of the Imperium. So you could kind of look at it in several different ways as to why they get that one reroll.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It definitely it really does look like a Salamander's chapter tactic, or at least one of their successors.
I think it literally is one of the Salamander's chapter. Yeah.
Well, good. I haven't read that because I was more just into Bloodraven stuff. Okay. Our next tactic, preferred enemy. Pick a faction. Tyranids, Aldari, Orcs, Heretic Astartes, Necrons, Tau. Notice how demons aren't there. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So anyways, reroll hits against chosen faction if charging, charged, or heroically intervened. So it's going to be a history of enmity with, one of these factions. So like, let's say your chapter is basically fighting a lot of Tau because they were near the Damocles Gulf. Maybe that's what you have. You have preferred enemy Tau, or maybe you've got a team that's goes after Tyranids. Maybe they're close combat. There you go. That could be something really good. Or maybe you and your buddy have an army that you fight against all the time. That's a good place to have that. Then we have rapid assault,
and it doesn't. I don't.
Oh, go ahead.
Hold on. I don't think it says that you. I don't think that there's a distinction. I'm looking at it right now.
Mm-hmm.
That says you can't take the same chapter tactic twice. No, you wouldn't want to with any of these, except for this one. This one, the preferred enemy, you could be okay. We've just been fighting orcs and Chaos Space Marines forever, so I'm just going to choose preferred enemy twice. I think you could. I think if you really wanted to, you could.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just
I'm not sure you'd want to, but you could.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know that. I look at it and I think this would be really cool, but then again, I don't know that it's a chapter tactic I would choose. But then again, I look at who I play. So,
right. Well, I mean, from a match play perspective, it's probably the worst chapter tactic, unless you're going to go to a tournament and fight.
Yeah.
Or if your army is really bad against a certain matchup.
Right.
So you're like, okay, I'm going to take a chapter tactic that lets me soften that matchup.
That's very true.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
But from a narrative perspective, it's a no-brainer for certain chapters. If your history is fighting orcs, then you just take it, because from a narrative play perspective, it makes sense.
That's true, because whenever I was in New York, I typically either played against you, so against orcs, or Bill versus Tau, or James, which Tau's the son. So, there's definitely that would work well in narrative. Let's see. All right, rapid assault, and this was kind of interesting. No penalty for advancing and shooting assault weapons, which assault weapons have like a -1 to hit if you've advanced, right?
That's correct.
So, that could actually do some real interesting stuff there. You're looking at a chapter that's Vanguard Force, maybe Swift and Guerrilla Warfare, maybe some close combat stuff, like maybe it's Zone Mortalis, I don't know, maybe City Fight. Yeah.
Mixing that with long-range marksman would be pretty cool. So you could advance, you could run and get an extra 3 inches on your assault weapons, while also not taking a penalty. I think that would be a great combination.
Yeah, actually,
for
that would.
Any
I hadn't thought about that.
Guerrilla tactical force. Yeah, I like that. It's not overpowered. It's just a cool thing.
Yeah.
Scions of the Forge. So your damage table counts as having double wounds. This is great for any chapter that uses mechanics or that has really good mechanics, or they're relic seekers or tankers of some kind. Aurora chapter comes to mind.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Stalwart. 1s and 2s always fail to wound. So this is the one that the Blood Ravens have. any crusading chapter, seekers, maybe they have augmetic bodies, kind of like the Iron Hands there, or they have an advanced gene seed. Now you'll note that this is the default kind of toughness-based chapter tactic available for the successor chapters. There is no baseline successor chapter 6+ ignore damage chapter tactic.
No, there isn't, is there?
Only the Iron Hands get that. Like we were saying before, some of these are for the specific chapter only, and that's I think they wanted to take some of the more powerful ones and match them with ones that are not quite so powerful, like the +1 leadership for the Ultramarines is matched with their fallback and shoot, because the fallback and shoot is pretty powerful.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. All right, that was Star. Okay, so next up, Stealthy. Models more than 12 inches away gain the benefit of cover. So you're looking at like the tactical groups, the stealth technology, sneaky, illusions, holographic projection, or Raven Guard. Yeah,
right. Raven Guard.
That's actually
you could even say
I do like using.
Yeah, that is a fun one. Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely Raven Guard.
Definitely Raven Guard, and I think that is the one the Raven Guard have. Also, like if you have a psychic chapter, maybe they do use some kind of weird illusions powers to hide themselves. Or for whatever reason they actually use camouflage.
Oh yeah,
which
Raptors.
Whatever. Yeah, Raptors. This would be a good one for Raptors.
All right, then we have Stoic, +1 leadership, so brave, organized, jaded. Is this the Ultramarines tactic?
Right. Yeah, it's the Ultramarines tactic. So they're more the organized side of things, but some chapters are just super brave. So maybe that's, or like we were saying before about the other one. I think this one, the +1 leadership, is better to describe a organized, well thought out, a chapter that thinks about their tactics as they go into a combat situation. So next we have tactical withdrawal. So you get to charge after falling back.
Yeah.
Again, there is no charge after or shoot after falling back, but charge after falling back is great for a fast chapter.
Yeah.
Who is eager or bloodthirsty. This is a great combination with the 6-inch, the Born Heroes chapter tactic, or the Duelists chapter tactic. They're all about getting into combat quickly. Maybe combining it with Rapid Assault with the no penalty for advancing and shooting assault weapons.
Oh yeah.
Maybe. Because they get in, they run up and they shoot with their assault weapons, and then when they do get engaged in combat, they can just fall back and charge again. Why not?
I think this is similar.
Then we have.
Is this one a White Scar tactic, or it's similar to the one in?
I think it might be. I think it might be a White Scars. Hold on, Lightning Assault. Can charge in a turn which they advanced or fell back.
Okay.
Yes.
It smells like one. It's just like that looks like a White Scar tactic. I would definitely want to do that.
Right, and you know what? They also have their bikes don't have the penalty for advancing and firing assault weapons.
Yeah,
also.
There we go.
So it mixes those together. So there's also Warded. They have a 5+ to ignore mortal wounds.
Oh, okay.
So this is the kind of a chapter that is resistant to psychic attack, and maybe you can use some Grey Knights bits to reflect the fact that they have this Type 9 armor, the Mark 9 armor that wards them against psychic attack.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Because there's all sorts of cool stuff that could be used out there. Like some of the relics that come on that sprue, or Maybe the really
Right,
cool backpacks. Yeah, there's all sorts of cool
Yep,
stuff.
those cool backpacks.
Yeah.
Or maybe go the other direction and say bits from the Space Wolves kit, like the fetishes that come with those kits would be cool for that.
Yeah.
Then we have Whirlwind of Rage. This is the one that can't be combined with duelists. Hit rolls of 6 in combat after charging or charged or intervene score an additional hit. So
Yeah.
That's cool. It's kind of the same thing, like where duelists it automatically wounds. This you might actually get an additional wound, so it's kind of tough to choose. I think at the end of the day, it's about the same.
Yeah.
Chapters who are kind of temperamental or bloodthirsty or fast would benefit from this. I think like really like chapters who are really quick in combat.
Surprisingly, it's not a
this.
Black Templar's tactic. I've got the book here because I was like, is that a Black Templar's thing? No, it's not. Okay.
Yeah, Black Templars are, in case people are wondering, when you charge, you can reroll any or all of the dice, and also they do get the 5+ to ignore mortal wounds.
Yeah. Oh, hey, they've got the warded thing.
It makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're warded. That makes sense for their idiom. I think.
Yeah, we don't care.
So we're
gonna bleed through it. Ain't got time to bleed.
Mm-hmm. This topic actually comes from people asking, like people have been asking, like, oh, what would my successor's chapter tactics be?
Oh yeah.
And I think Mark is making what is he making? Castellans of the Rift?
Oh no, he was doing Necropolis
I think.
Hawks.
No. Necropolis Hawks. That's right. So both of us went through. I did a few of these. You did a few of these. Let's go through it one chapter at a time, or let's do two chapters. No, let's do one chapter at a time, and kind of talk about them and why we chose them. So Jason, start us off.
Okay, so we picked up Black Dragons, and
a topic that we're familiar with.
yeah, how many episodes have we done on the Black Dragons?
I know, right?
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
I know.
Let's also not talk about your Successor Chaos Space Marine chapter that you've done. Yes, that's right. The Black Dragons are a favorite here at the Masters of the Forge. Okay, so we came up with Fearsome Aspect and Duelists. So as a reminder, Fearsome Aspect, -1 leadership to enemies within 3 inches. They'll have terrifying trophies, intimidating armor, and they've got spikes. You know, that could scare people.
They got the spikes. Yeah, they got spinities.
Yeah, that's going to be under ugly mutations, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And then Duelist, unmodified 6s in combat versus infantry or bikers. So they automatically hit and wound.
So yeah,
and this is going to be.
They've got those spikes.
Oh yeah, they've got those spikes. Yeah, they've got the spikes. So yeah. So that's. I think. Well, I think you'd written down Fearsome Aspect and Duelist, but I totally agree. This I think works really well for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Next we have the Aurora chapter. So I picked Scions of the Forge and Master Artisans, which
Yeah.
Like they would have they have so many vehicles, and they have so many, like they actually make their own their motor pool is bigger than any other chapter.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense that their damage table on their vehicles would count as having double wounds. Yeah. And also Master Artisans, the one where they get to reroll 1 hit and 1 wound in the shooting phase for each of their attacks. I think that makes a lot of sense for them with their vehicles that would be very well taken care of.
Yeah.
And they would have this rapport with the machine spirit to the point where they would actually get rerolls to hit and wound in the combat or in the shooting phase.
And if I was running a mechanized chapter where I'm running just tanks and whatnot, I think that is kind of the perfect, in my mind, at least narratively, I think those are the best chapter tactics for them. I think that works really well.
Yeah.
The next one, I feel weird going through and introducing this one, but why not? Star Eagles are our very own in Masters of the Forge. Yeah. That's Adam's group. That's his chapter. So we have Bolter Fusillade and Stoic. So they're re-rolling hits of 1 with bolt weapons. So well-drilled, battle line focused, deliberate, thoughtful. Yeah, Star Eagles. And stoic. So +1 leadership, brave, organized, jaded. So yeah, that's...
Yeah, I think it's the more they have like an organized they have an organized order of battle.
Yeah.
Like they have a very clear thought process to their combat, to their missions, and they are I think the bolter fusillades works because when they're doing these boarding actions, they're mainly using bolters for a lot of this work. So I think it makes sense for them. And, that's the answer that was given to me by Robin Crudis when I asked the question on the live stream. So that makes a lot of sense.
Well, there you go.
There you go. So next we have the Void Tridents. They're this naval chapter with a close combat. So like the Void Tridents are actually a lot like the Star Eagles. Mm-hmm. But for them, you picked Rapid Assault, which is the no penalty for advancing and shooting, and Warded, 5+ versus mortal wounds because of their void shielding.
Yeah.
They might be void shielded against. So like, their armor might be particularly good in void combat, but that also manifests itself as a 5+ to ignore mortal wounds, which a lot of the time, it's not just psychic powers, but also stuff. Other weird stuff that happens in combat, like orbital bombardments. Yeah. So in the rules that we came up with for, and we practiced for what do you call it? Zone Mortalis. Yeah. There's a lot of mortal wounds going on in there because of collapsing walls and being open to the void and stuff. So that makes a lot of sense for them.
I think that could be really a good. I had thought about that one for a bit. But it was also the easiest one to figure out whenever I was like, oh, okay, they're close combat. All right.
Yeah, it also shows that you don't have to use the same chapter tactics for similar chapters. So like the Star Eagles and Void Tridents, they have similar roles, but there are chapter tactics that overlap, there are roles that overlap different chapter tactics.
Yeah. All right, so the next one is Castellans of the Rift. This one was kind of a difficult one for me to work on. Mm-hmm. I'm still not sure about it. They're Primaris Marines. They're known for being anti-demonic engines and going after Chaos Knights. The thing is, there's not a lot of lore, just because they are new. They do show up on Vigilus, I think. But I would probably say either Inheritors of the Primarch would be best, or maybe Preferred Enemy as one of the tactics.
Like Heretic Astartes?
Yeah. This one was tough. I mean, Preferred Enemy, this is how I know that there wasn't it didn't work against demons, because I thought, hey, these guys would be great for Preferred Enemy, go after demons, but then that's not one of the keywords. Yeah,
but it's usually against Chaos Knights or Demon Engines, like you say. Yeah. So maybe, anti Heretic Astartes would work really well. Or let's see, they're always, if they're always fighting things like big monsters, maybe they.
Maybe the one that's 6 up on every 6 is a wound. Which one was it?
Every 6 is well, that's only against infantry and bikers.
Oh, then no, that's not going to work.
That's not gonna work. Maybe +1 to advance and charge. Hungry for battle.
Maybe.
That's not a terrible. But they would definitely. Oh, long range marksman would be good against demon engines. Your meltaguns at 15 inches.
Yeah, that's probably what would probably be needed, because this one was really kind of difficult. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
And I'm still not convinced yet. I think this one's one I have to think about for a while.
Yeah, I agree. Sons of the Phoenix. So these guys are Crusaders. They're Imperial Fist successors. They have cool purple armor.
Yeah.
You chose Whirlwind of Rage and Hungry for Battle. That makes a lot of sense for this charging, crusading chapter. I think they're also duelists, but I think Whirlwind of Rage is better for them specifically.
Yeah.
So like their hit rolls automatically wound, their hit rolls of 6 automatically score an additional hit, and they have +1 to advance and charge, which I think makes sense for their idiom.
Yeah. All right, so the next was Necropolis Hawks. Their Primaris chapter, Raven Guard successors. I looked up and kind of read about them, and they're close quarter fighters, which is kind of why I came up with Tactical Withdrawal and Rapid Assault. So we have a
I think
charge
that
after
makes
falling
complete
back,
sense, dude.
Fast, eager, bloodthirsty, And Rapid Assault, there's no penalty for advancing and shooting assault weapons. I think that would work for them.
Oh, I agree. Okay. They're always fighting in cities.
Yeah.
So like they're more in. I think they would be more likely to operate with assault weapons.
Yeah.
Because they're going from building to building, shooting and stuff. So rapid fire, while good, I think it would be better if they could advance and get around corners and shoot around corners and stuff. So not taking a penalty for that is great, but that also means that they're going to be right up in enemy combat range. They're going to get charged. So why not allow them to fall back from an enemy unit and charge someone else and really get behind enemy lines?
Right.
I think that would be really great. Though they're so. I don't think I think for matched play, I think people are going to choose chapter tactics that build off of each other.
Yeah.
So like Rapid Assault and Hungry for Battle would be good for, I guess, if you're doing a lore-based chapter that is actually a successor of, say, the World Eaters. Let's say they are loyalist successors of the World Eaters, and that's what you're doing. And it's kind of like a thing that nobody really knows, but they are.
Yeah.
So you choose Hungry for Battle and Rapid Assault Hungry for Battle and Tactical Withdrawal. That way they can charge in, and then they can charge after falling back and get a +1 to that, whatever.
Yeah.
But some chapters, it's better, lore-wise, it's better to choose things that are not that just makes sense lore wise. So like that's what you did here. Tactical Withdrawal and Rapid Assault matched play wise wouldn't really go well together, but that doesn't matter. I think that the Necropolis Hawks, I think you've chosen the perfect things for the Necropolis Hawks here.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's totally competitive, but yeah.
But it makes sense. That's what I would choose. If I were to go through this, those are probably exactly the same ones I would choose, because from a narrative perspective, it makes sense.
Well, whenever Mark listens to this, we'll see what he has to say.
Yeah, I didn't actually see what he landed on. He may not have landed on anything yet.
I don't remember if he said anything about it. He might have, and I just didn't catch it. Yeah.
Right.
All right. And you want to do that last one?
Sure. We have the Storm Reapers. Again, they're a Primaris White Scars successor. Very battle hungry. Yeah. There's not a lot of lore yet. They don't have bikes because they're Primaris. Who knows? I mean, there might be bikes coming, but you never know.
We don't know. They haven't told us anything. And even if they did,
they haven't told us anything. So why not duelists, unmodified 6s, automatically hit and wound? Makes sense to me. They're like hunters. They're not really meant to be fighting vehicles. They're more kind of skirmishing with other infantry. Then Hungry for Battle, so advance and charge. That makes a lot of sense for a chapter who's getting up in combat.
Yeah.
So I think we both chose really great ones. And see, there's no wrong answer here, right? As we explained, there's a lot of overlap for a chapter. If you create a really flavorful chapter with a lot of thought put into their mindset and their combat doctrine, you might find that you can pick more than 2 of these, actually. And depending on what kind of mission they're going on or what kind of campaign they're going on, I wouldn't change your chapter tactics halfway through a campaign unless you've taken a lot of losses.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I'm doing a campaign, maybe my chapter starts out stealthy and long-range marksman.
Yeah.
So, like, they're sneaking around and they're sniping from a long distance and whatever, but they start taking a lot of losses throughout the campaign and they start losing a lot, and a lot of their brothers are dying. Maybe after time,
they start changing it up.
Maybe they keep stealthy, but you do the +1 charge, the rapid assault, not rapid assault, hungry for battle instead, because they're getting pissed off, right? Like they're like, we're gonna hide and then charge you, right? And then maybe you keep losing. You're like, oh my god, I keep dying. All my guys are dead. What's happening? So instead you switch from stealthy to fearsome aspect as your Space Marines start like decorating their bodies with trophies from dead orcs or whatever. Like you're just like -1 leadership because you're just, all right, screw it. We're just going to run in and get pissed off, you know? So like, I don't think there's a problem with changing your chapter tactics throughout a campaign as you're the guys who are actually involved in the combat.
Right.
Change their thought process. You could say, okay, normally they have this chapter tactic, but in this situation, we're getting pissed.
Yeah.
So we're going to change it up for narrative play.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. Do that. Do it. If your friends are playing with you narratively and anybody who plays narratively would have no problem kind of with that methodology of representing your chapter.
Yeah, or I was thinking about this, or if you're like in a campaign, sometimes you will have maybe you have a change in scenery, like spaceships down to planet, I guess. You might want to change tactics there just because some of the stuff may not work really well in like close combat and whatnot. Like if you're doing some sort of zone mortalis or shipboarding action, that might, right. I mean, and that would work narratively because you're not going to send in, you can't send in certain units into close combat anyway, just because they don't fit. So, like for instance, I would not, if you're playing a Aurora chapter, but we did a shipboarding action, I would not let you run the run the tactics you had before because you don't have vehicles. Or hold on, were they vehicle specific?
Yeah, it's vehicle specific, but to be honest, if I'm running Aurora chapter and I'm going into a zone mortalis situation, and like say we're using our special rules, I would spend the 2 command points to bring I would spend the 3 command points to bring 2 dreadnoughts.
Yeah.
And then it works, right?
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, Yeah, damage table counts. Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. Sometimes certain detachments, it would make sense if they use different chapter tactics.
Well, the thing is that
even if they are,
I've always looked at the, in the 7th edition rule book, and I'm trying to remember if it was in 8th also. They had Blood Ravens as they can take whatever chapter tactic they want because they don't know who they are, which I always said was that, and also they can take those tactics because they are known to shift tactics.
They've studied. They have studied their opponent, and they know, and they have a really good advantage on them.
Yeah.
So
I just look at them as like, all right, cool, we'll do it this way instead.
Yeah, just do that. Yeah. Just use whatever. I from a narrative perspective, I wouldn't switch it up just for the sake of switching it up. I'll definitely come up with a good reason why they would be changing like it. But if you're playing Ultramarines, just use Ultramarines. It's fine.
Well, it's interesting because there's certain tactics I would never use for the Blood Ravens because they just narratively don't work. They're just not,
yeah,
fearsome
exactly.
aspect.
They're a
used.
lot. Yeah,
You know, I just,
exactly.
yeah.
All right. Well, that was a really fun conversation, Jason. Yeah. Thanks for having it with me. That was really fun. I'm glad we got an episode in. And again, we're gonna. Well, let's talk about what we're gonna do next month, or later this month, and then after we take a break and come back and close out the show.
I just want to invite you to Frayed Paintbrush Hobby Progress Facebook group. It is a positive group set up to motivate us to hobby and then share it with all the other members. At the beginning of the month, post up your monthly challenge on the page, and then at the end of the month, you post the completed work for all to see. No pressure, just fun among friends. Once again, that's Frayed, F-R-A-Y-E-D Paintbrush. Hope to see you there.
Hey, Masters of the Forge listeners, are you looking to expand your Warhammer 40,000 gaming group?
Do you want to start a 40k club in your area?
Do you want the people you attract to be like-minded mofos?
Do you want to advertise your YouTube channel?
Or even attract more subscribers to your hobby blog or online community?
Then what better way than to advertise on the Masters of the Forge podcast?
All we ask of you is that you email us at mastersoftheforge@gmail.com or message us on Facebook with a full text of your advertisement, including the region in which you live and any contact information people can use to get a hold of you.
We will have one of our many tech servitors read your advertisement on the air. We promise not to make fun of you.
Though we can't always predict the actions of our servitors, you really can't find good help these days.
No, you can't.
Oi! After an hard day's shopping, I like to head down to the pub and enjoy a good brew with me mates. Shopping hummies all day is hard smelly work, so's I likes to top myself up with something nice. Chopper body spray is not just a treat for you, it's a treat for the whole crew. Now available in Green Apple Grunt, All After Dark, and Oops Don't Press That Fragrances. Chopper body spray, don't make me axe you twice.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us to the end. So, Jason, I'm not sure what to do next month.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
And by next month, I mean later this month. We owe our listeners an episode. But I will do most of the work because you are.
Oh God, not even remind
deep.
me.
You are deep into the start of the semester, and I'm not gonna give you a hard time about that. So I will come up with a tactic or a topic, unless a listener.
Yeah, we'll pound out something.
Hollers at us. Yeah. We'll pound out something.
Or we can ask in our Discord channel, actually, because our Discord people, they come up with ideas. Yeah.
They do come up with good ideas. Yeah. And if you've given a suggestion in the past and we haven't run with it, give us the same suggestion again, because I don't remember. It was good to get maybe we'll do something Dark Eldar-y since I am doing that Dark Eldar project. Yeah. I should buy the Codex and look at the lore of the Dark Eldar and think about what I want to do for them. I think that would make sense.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Excuse me. Maybe we'll conscript Brian to come on our episode.
Ooh, even better.
This would get me off my butt and help me work out our solution for recording someone who's
not us.
Coming on our show.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Okay, we'll do something Dark Eldar. Anyways.
So, hey, listeners, welcome to how we sometimes create episodes for Masters of the Forge.
Jason and I will be back next in a couple weeks to talk about Dark Eldar. Somehow, just not a more specific topic than just Dark Eldar.
So, a couple of things before we go. You can find us on iTunes. Leave us a nice review.
iTunes.
We have a website, mastersoftheforge.com. Let me see.
Go
Twitter.
faster. I'm wiggling in my seat. I've drank way too much coffee. Faster.
Okay. Sorry. Masters of the Forge on Twitter. Hashtag Masters of the Forge on Instagram. Anything I'm missing?
Yes. I don't care. I love you guys, but I have to pee.
All right. Until next time.
So, play the game the way you want to.
Nailed it.
Sorry.
This podcast is protected by the Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Non-Commercial International License. More information about this license and contact information if you have any requests can be found at our blog, mastersoftheforge.com. The music used in this podcast was made by Parad of the duo Sublevel 3. The track is used with his permission.
It's such a good feeling to play games your way. It's such a happy feeling 40K'ing away. And when you throw dice with story in mind, it's such a wonderful way to unwind. It's a good feeling, a very good feeling, the feeling you know that we'll be back when the fortnight's new, and we'll have new ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. We will too.